So I created this free tool, it's on itch.io, where you can create cool scenes with your own art. It creates a single HTML that you can integrate in any of your web projects or as an overlay for any streamers out there. I mainly created it for myself, so it might not be a UI UX masterpiece, but it is functional and allows for a lot of configurations. Anyway, I think it's best to walk you through the process of creating such a scene yourself. So if you load the tool, you see this interface. On the left side there are the configurations, on the right side there's a little preview of how it will look. Right now there's a fixed size you define. If you click on the preview, you see it in full screen. And yeah, you see that it reacts to the mouse movement with a little parallax effect. The tool has two examples provided, so the light you saw earlier and this dark one. The sprites of these examples, you can freely use them. And if you want to start fresh, there's also the reset button. So first you can choose like a background color, and in the media library, let's start completely fresh and delete all the example images and load in your own sprites. Here I prepared some for like the space scene, and you can load them in one by one. Maybe in the future update it lets you load multiple at once, because this can be quite a lot if you have a lot of sprites. Okay, now that we loaded all the sprites in, we can go into the Sprites group tab and add like a background objects group. I'm always bad with variable names or names in general, so please don't judge me. Just for a little bit of clarity, you can name your groups here. And here we want to start in the back, so with the far away stars. You can add all the sprites, so it randomly picks one of these. So here we can add a few more and increase the scale a bit. And we see this one sprite has like multiple frames, and we have to do some configurations and tell the tool how many frames there are. And in this case it's 29. And the default speed is, I think, 100 milliseconds per frame. And now we see a little bit of blinking with the stars. So it looks maybe a little bit more lively. But yeah, mainly to showcase that you can also put in sprite sheets and have the sprite sheet animation play out. And because the stars are really far in the back, they are not really affected with the parallax effect, so we disable it for them. And to disable, you can just put in 0. So, and this is the first step. You can minimize a group if you are done with it. So next up, we add this black hole to the scene. We only want to have one large in the center. So the objects per pixel, if we set them to 0, it will just show the minimum objects. If objects per pixel is larger, then it basically tells the tool to spawn more stuff if your screen area is wider. But yeah, in this case we just want to have one. And we see it plays the GIF animation. In the area tab we can basically define where it spawns. Default it spawns over the whole area, but we want to have it centered, so we change the width and the height. So we change the width and the height and the offsets for X and Y to have it consistently spawn in this area. So if you hover over these settings, you see like a little preview. Not always completely accurate, I might improve it in the future, but it's like a general guideline where the object will spawn it. So now that we are done with this second part, we can save our status by exporting the configuration. It also contains the media gallery objects. So if you want to start again or continue to work on it, you can just load the config back in and have all the settings. So next up we add the big planet. Next up, we can define the horizontal and the vertical strength, which define how much an object moves horizontally or vertically. And with the depth min and depth max, we can define where the parallax effect is at the minimum and where it is at the maximum. So you have a difference of how fast the object moves depending on how deep it is in your scene. The other settings in Parallax Effect affect mostly the mobile use with touch and like motion sensor, so you have some configurations there too. But in this tutorial we will skip that. But if you hover over any of these menu points, you will see some tooltip info that maybe helps you out. This depth value is basically the Z index for any of you web developers out there. So 0 means far in the back and 1000 means very close. So this big planet is a bit further away, so I put it at 200. And we see if you move along, it moves slightly with our cursor. So I just changed some width and height settings here to have it in the bottom right. So now we're done with that and want to get to the next one. And to speed the process up, I added like a duplicate button, which takes over all the parallax informations, so we don't have to re-add them every time. Do some settings for placing the object, putting it at depth 400, so it's a bit in front of the big planet. And now with the last group, we add the asteroids that are flying really close to the camera in front of the planets. I use the same parallax settings, just changed the depth. So the depth range is between 800 and 1000. And we see here the objects all spawn a bit centered. That's because with the default settings, the tool always tries to spawn the sprite completely inside the area, so it doesn't overlap with the border. But if you want to change that, you have in the appearance section the overlap settings, and these define how much in the sprite size it can overlap. So 1 would be 100%, it could overlap like completely. So we see these are spawning a bit wider, so we have like a band of asteroid. Next is the object scrolling. Next to the horizontal and vertical, I already added an update, so you can also type in an angle and a setting for like some random offset for the angle, so it's not just horizontal and vertical in the tool anymore, but we have some more options. But yeah, in this case we just have the horizontal. And yeah, you have settings for near, far, and how they relate to the depth of these objects, so you can make these objects move faster or slower depending on how deep they are in the scene. And here you see the result of how the scene reacts to your mouse movement. And now you have a little pixel art space scene. This example is also in the download form on my itch.io page, so you can use it freely. Sprites I used, I generated with a free tool called Pixel Planet Generator from default. It's also on itch.io, so check it out if you like it. So lastly, you can export the config, so you can always restart it. Here you can see if you reset it and load the config back in, you got your full scene back in there. I don't save any data in the cloud, so it's all locally in your browser, so please remember to save your configurations so you don't lose any progress. You can download the final HTML via the download button. This file you can integrate in your website or use the file path in OBS as a browser source. If you want to have it react to your mouse in OBS too, you can start the overlay server Python script that you can download on itch.io. Now you can put your other sources between your background objects. As you can see, the bottom clouds are overlapping with the webcam frame. Here are the parameters. To enable mouse tracking, disable background and all groups except the ones that should be on top of your other OBS sources, like the foreground clouds. The IDs are always named BG and then a number. And for the background, you again enable the mouse tracking and just disable the foreground clouds so they won't show up twice. And so yeah, if you like it and also want to see the Silksong in action, then you can go on my website. And yeah, I also do commissions, so if you want me to create a scene for you, maybe to promote a game or promote your art, website, anything, let me know. And I can also use either your art or create some art of my own. And of course, if you like to support the project, you can go on itch.io and download the examples and leave some money there. And follow and subscribe and everything. Thank you.